The 21st University of Southern California beat the 12th rival, UCLA, and beat the Brown Bears for the 5th time in a row. This time, there would be no late heartbreak, no final turn of the knife, no stunning buzzer beater to remember. There was no Taj Edie in the corner for 3 or Jonah Matthews step back at the top of the key. There would be no one moment that would haunt UCLA, or play on forever in highlight reels for USC. This time, it was UCLA's Tyger Campbell who had the ball in his hands late, down 3 with a chance for a stunning shot in the final second. This time, the buzzer beater came up short, and USC still won a stunner, taking down number 12 UCLA, 67-64, for its biggest victory of the season so far. The scene after USC takes down UCLA for the 5th consecutive time, 67-64. What a game. PIC at twitter.com/LA3BTU5UEM. Ryan Kartja, February 13, 2022, for number 21 USC, the victory, its 5th straight over UCLA, was meaningful on multiple fronts. It was the first for the Trojans over a ranked opponent this season. A major moment for a team that to this point had little else bolstering its NCAA tournament resume. USC also drew within 2 games of Pac-12 leader Arizona, while all but eliminating its rival from the conference race. For a program still working to establish itself as a Pac-12 power, it was a major mile marker. Advertisement: the last time USC won 5 straight over UCLA. John Wooden still was coaching at South Bend Central High School, a legendary career still very much ahead of him. The Trojans had won 42 in a row over their rivals to that point in 1942, but as Wooden took over a few years later, the next 80 years would pass by with USC unable to reach 5 consecutive wins over its rival. Sport. Ready to keep streaking? USC wants to recapture old-school rivalry dominance of UCLA. USC has won all 4 meetings with UCLA since Mick Cronin took over as coach of the Bruins. The UCLA players are well aware of the drought. Over those 8 decades, there can't have been many performances quite as gutsy as Drew Peterson's on Saturday. The streaky senior had struggled over USC's last 4, shooting 8 for 31. But as the Trojans trudged on without their leading scorer, Peterson stepped into the void and more than filled Isaiah Mobley's shoes. He scored 25 points and added 12 rebounds, 5 blocks and 4 assists as he dominated UCLA on both ends. For the Bruins, it was a poor shooting performance that ultimately did them in. With USC's stingy defense bearing down, UCLA shot a meager 30% and 25% in the second half. Campbell led the way for the Bruins, in spite of that final miss, scoring a season-high 27 while the rest of UCLA's offense spent most of the night ice cold. The Trojans' Drew Peterson shoots over the Bruins' Johnny Juzang during the first half. Still, he had 2 chances to win late, first coughing up a possession, then missing the final buzzer beater attempt, when a Hail Mary inbounds pass from USC nearly ended in disaster. Before that, Saturday played out much in the same way as its buzzer-beating predecessors, with the 2 crosstown rivals trading punches and riding the hot hand on offense. But this time, USC was left to recreate the magic of its last 4 victories over UCLA without Mobley, who fractured his nose last weekend in a loss to Arizona. All signs pointed towards Mobley suiting up against the Bruins. He was fitted earlier in the week for a protective mask, and coach Andy Enfield expressed confidence that he'd be in the lineup. As both teams began warm-ups, Mobley sat on the bench in street clothes. It wasn't long after that it became clear how much USC would miss him. A sold-out crowd at Galen Center made its presence known from the opening tip with bellowing chants from a jam-packed student section. When Mick Cronin left his bench after the first stoppage, the crowd showered the UCLA coach in boos. UCLA's Tyger Campbell drives to the basket against USC's Boogie Ellis during the first half. The raucous atmosphere, coupled with a stingy Trojans defense, gave the Bruins fits to start. The rivals traded punches early, each working out its own nervous energy. But as USC began to heat up from the perimeter, UCLA went cold, hitting just 3 of 14 during one 10-minute stretch. The slump spotted the Trojans a first-half lead that grew as large as 8 before the Bruins fired their way back, cutting the lead to just 2 before halftime. A scorching Campbell was UCLA's only solace for much of the first half. The junior point guard scored 16 points, carrying the Bruins when they needed him most. While the rest of UCLA's offense opened tentatively from the field, Campbell knocked down 2 key threes in the final 2 minutes of the half to keep USC from building an even larger lead.